think. Let me make sure. Ah, peace YouTube. This is FleurBrun, FleurBrun, coming to you today with a new topic of discussion. Check on in. Hey everyone. I know I'm at an impromptu. It is Saturn Day, and I thought I'd come in to have a role and a revelation and a conversation that we can have. So check on in. Let me just make sure. Okay. Can you see me? I'm kind of to the side a little bit. Check on. Peace, everyone. Hey, AJ. Hey, Alo. Hey, Sylvie. Hey, Professor Chrome. Hey, Now We Rise. Hey, Melvin. Hey, Crystalline. Glory. Lavette. Queen Essence. Hey, Melissa. Are you home, Melissa? Chilling out? Hey, Crystal Clear. Is it crystal clear? It is crystal clear. Hey, everyone. Grand activation as it so happy New Year's, blissful New Year's, everyone. I hope you celebrated your New Year's, right? I hope everyone had an amazing it's chilly, is it? It should be springtime, you know what I mean? Okay. I have a new camera set up, so hopefully you can see me okay. We'll see how it does for a while. Hey, A Stardust. Hey, Lynette. Lynette. It's still French when you say Lynette. I love when I see my francophonic family in here. Okay. Looks good? Okay. So everything's okay? Okay. So peace to the east, west, north, and south. This is FleurBrun coming to you today with a new topic of discussion. Yes, we did the trees on Monday. So happy activation, and we re-solidified our bonds and our reactivated treaties with the trees, as well as an alliance. So I hope everyone had a chance to re-solidify everything with the trees, re-establish alliances with our wonderful family, the tree family. Okay. It was beautiful. We had a blissful, thank you for everyone who joined us on Zoom. We had a blissful, amazing, like I said, a re-institution of our wonderful Frenchie from Montreal. Hey, Ayan. Bonjour, bonjour. Comment ça va? Montreal is trois fois. Trois fois. You have the coolest weather, but the most beautiful city. Montreal is like one of those, like, because I took my girls for the first time to Montreal when we were staying in Vermont, in Stowe, and my girls absolutely were so enamored, but mommy was frozen like a popsicle. Okay, because we went, this is like, how many years ago? It was 2 years ago. We were in Vermont, and then I took my girls to Montreal for Christmas, and it was so magical for them. You know, I love Montreal, I love Quebec. Again, they have the francophonic, you know, they speak my mother tongue. Hey, hey, Antonio. Hey, my love. And it was beautiful. So big up to everyone who c'est vrai, c'est très froid. Oh mon Dieu. I tell you, we had a good time though. I can't, you know, you can't ever complain. You take the good and you take the other part of it, but they had a magical time in Quebec. So thank you, everyone. Okay, so let's get in the conversation. I actually meet you in Vermont. Wait, did you meet me in Vermont? Were you with our gathering crew when we met up in Vermont? That was a ball. We met up at that, it was like that vegan place that we met up, and they had like the amazing food, and the Sea Stars came from, they came from Montreal and Quebec, I think. And then we had some friends come in from, oh, you're in Africa now? How amazing. We must talk. How is that? How do you like Africa? What part of Africa are you in? East, west? You know, anyway, let's get into the topic of discussion. I know you don't like when I don't talk. So let's get in conversation. As we know, the portals are open. We have a lot of, oh, Ayan, yes, I remember. Of course. Oh my God. We had such a good time. Anyway, so let's get in conversation. We're going to talk about possession, BioDome infiltration. Yes, y'all. And you know I'm contacting term. So I'd rather stay on interdimensional because most beings that are interfacing with us that we can allow ourselves to have contact with physiologically are most likely interdimensional, some subterranean as well. So many of you have known me for many years. You know that is one of the things I talk about. I am in contact with the Andromedans and Nibirians. I've had contact with the Zeta Reticulans. That's with Nancy Liger's group. Big up to Nancy Liger, pole shift group. And some other beings, insectoids. I'm going to make another video regarding the insectoids and basically letting you know that we have literally been, I know many people think that we were ran by grays, but do know that the grays are here that are what I consider to be a type of bio Borg. They are geoengineered by Willy Wonka and his League of Doom and other beings that have created these type of beings that are connected to the AI system. A lot of them are hardwired into our cell phones. And we talked about this years ago when many of the massage therapists were saying that they were seeing these grays popping out of people's backs in a kind of hologram above their backs while giving massages. Go figure that. So in that itself, what happened? Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. And we'll take care of that. As they were seeing these grays, we realized that the grays were connected to the electronic field that was hosting overlay grays. That's what we call them. And a lot of people who are low field, who do a lot of drugs, alcoholics, people have low field energetic fields, meaning they're very, parasitic or they're very low frequency, they usually host these overlay grays. And that's a form of possession as well. So we're going to get into the fact that we are literally going into, where there's portals, multiple portals that are opening. We're entering into a time of pre-reset. Everything is happening on this planet. As you see, there are multiple explosions. I think it was a chocolate factory blew up today. Go figure that. I was like, once you start messing with people's vices, you really gonna see the craziness come out. Am I not right? But anyway, let's stay on topic. So now we have these multiple portals that some are naturally opening because we're entering the time of reset. So there are different types of portals that open in multiple geographical locations. It happens to occur every year. It isn't quite as unique in that it's a cylindrical pattern that happens with the different phases that we go around every year. But right now, because we have the stratosphere is being lowered because the dome, the firmament, is being pressured upon because we're going through reset. And because of that, the so-called sun simulator, which isn't a sun simulator, I found out, y'all, it's a porthole, and meaning that it's basically a hole. That's why when we see the sun, it's no longer yellow because it doesn't have that filter over it anymore. Now it's white. And also, I personally think that it is a hole during the time when we probably, I don't know, during the time we probably go through reset or a post reset, anyone who gets raptured up or, kind of ascends up to that may go through that porthole. And if you ever had a chance to watch the people who are really the geeks, big up to the geeks who like to watch the sun. The sun. Remember when the sun looked like this? I had this man say, "You look like the sun." I was like, "Thank you, love. Which sun are you talking about? Are you talking about the pre-sun? Or are you talking about the sun these days? If you're talking about I look like the sun from before, I will take that as a compliment." Anyway, so when we're talking about people who are basically being hijacked because there are multiple types of energetic beings that are being released into our stratosphere. And because of that, they're looking to host. People's bodies are being hosted. And what makes a primary host? Let me talk about what allows for a person to be hosted or be an appropriate host for a lot of these beings. Now, someone asked me the other day, why do you always say it's something negative? Well, let me explain something. anything that is light or has a higher frequency isn't trying to inhabit your low frequency body. Our bodies, because they're in this dense field, aren't as high as other or non-corporeal beings. So to be able to come into your body and be hosted and to be, to animate itself, it has to be low, because most high beings won't interface with us if they're higher. They may telepathically contact us. They may have telethoughts, and we're able to express them. But in order to come into a body, you would have to be low frequency. And most of the type of parasitic energies that usually like to enter into the body are low vibrational. And at this time, because people are going to the distilleries, not the distilleries, the dispensaries. Now, let me talk about the dispensaries. And I personally think that the dispensaries and the geoengineered chief, marijuanis, Mary Jane, what is it? What else is it called? I call it chief. Some call it marijuana. What else you call it? What's another name? I forgot what you call it. You have all these different names for chief, for Mary Jane. But I also know that that's why they're promoting for people to engage with these dispensaries. There's dispensaries and the ganja, Chiba, Chiba, look at that. So I personally think that the reason why they created all of these different dispensaries was to make sure they geoengineered the proper chemicalized, alchemical, low frequency that would be able to suppress your biosphere, your biodome, and to be able to allow your auric field to be permeable. So I personally think that all of these dispensaries was definitely, anytime Willy Wonka, listen, y'all, I don't know when you're gonna get it. Anytime Willy Wonka takes advantage and remember back in the days, they didn't want you to touch it because it was still connected to source, the higher frequencies. Now that they have you engaged in it, they literally have lowered the frequency. They have bioengineered the actual what used to be an herb and have homogenized it, lowered the frequency of the plant. They basically GMO'd it. And then they took and extracted a form of it and then utilized some form of alchemical spirit cooking to create all these gummy bears that everybody's eating, these pop rocks, and so on. And they've nicely strategically placed all of these dispensaries around areas where people are notably more attracted to it. Now, we talked about alcohol and spirits, but most didn't realize that once Willy Wonka had hijacked the actual herb that is a galactic herb, the original form of the chief is galactic. It doesn't come from our stratosphere. It literally is an interdimensional plant. And we're going to go into mushrooms and all those other things that are taking over people's minds. That's why now it's legal for you to do mushrooms, because they hijacked that particular fungus, the fungus realm. Remember, a lot of plants, they have their own dimensional realm where they interface, and they literally have a kind of hive mind. Like they're able to intercommunicate, telecommunicate with each other in their own realm or their own kingdoms. So when you have something like mushrooms and the Mary Jane or the chief, they have realms where they all interface with another. But when you geoengineer them and you hybrid them, now mushrooms you can't really do that with, but you can change them alchemically by the soil or by the frequency in which they're grown. So listen, y'all, once Willy Wonka made mushrooms and Mary Jane or chief and other things available that they're dispensing or they're distributing, they've already hijacked it. Why is this important to this conversation? Because the majority of people who are engaging, I didn't say all, majority of people engaging in psychedelic herbal usage are being hijacked. Even those who are engaging with, what's that other thing they're going to Brazil for? Ayahuasca. Let me explain something, y'all. Any true shaman or anybody who is doing rituals would have to qualify you to participate in any ritual that contains any alchemical change with an herb or anything. They have to ask permission and they have to qualify you. Qualifying you doesn't mean spending money. Money is a tree that's been changed, killed, and you're using paper with the flesh of trees. Why would you think that to qualify you to interface in a ritual that you would literally be qualified by dead trees to engage with an herb? Wouldn't you think that would be wouldn't you think that would be off? So to qualify you to take ayahuasca, you would exchange dead trees in order to engage with an herb that you haven't qualified for. What shaman would ever allow someone who isn't qualifying with a ritual or the dream fasting you into that? Why would they allow you to do that? Now, I bring all this in here because I think the rational critical thinking of people has been diminished by the overusage of drugs that are geoengineered by Willy Wonka and his League of Doom. Many of you don't even realize that most of the children that are having issues with their identity, their parents were engaged in these same psychotropic geoengineered drugs that Willy Wonka created to create imbalance alchemically so children show up without a field of knowing and being vested in who they are physiologically. It's literally mad science 101. So why do I bring this up? Because we have an entire planet where the majority of people are drug addicts, because everyone has been over inundated, and most of our amazing herbs that our ancestors used for healing, for dream fasting, for engaging into the other realms without interference have all been altered and hijacked. And then taken the account that now HARP system, rather CERN, not HARP, has literally tore open specific realms, and most people think the realms are higher. Why would you think that? The beings that are opening these realms are lower. So they're tearing open the fabric of a reality and ripping open portals with beings that are from more dense locations that haven't any bodies, they're non-corporeal, and they're looking for hosts. So why do you think, it's just like a scientist, they're going to prime their organisms, prepare them for hosting, and then tear open rip open portals so that you can allow for attachment. So now we have people walking around that are hijacked. They're basically jump seats, walking around hosting incarnates beings that haven't even been here and haven't qualified themselves to even have bodies themselves, maybe through dark activity, so they didn't qualify to reincarnate into a physical form, or they come from such dense realms and dimensions that they haven't the ability to even incarnate into any form at all. So now we have a planet of people walking around. Now, I want to talk about this, and I found it very important because I hear a lot of people talking, and let me explain something. This isn't judgment, because a lot of people are suffering from sadness right now. They've lost family members from Kukarachi kill, They've lost people through depression, sometimes suicide, a lot of really dark things. Everything is causing people to feel destabilized. Most people feel like, especially with the amount of energy and frequencies coming on the planet that are causing your biosphere to feel a way that you normally haven't felt before. So most people, if they haven't leveled themselves up through fasting, basically, doing the work spiritually, working on their critical thinking, their sense of balance and higher consciousness, they're primed for infiltration and possession. And you gotta know the reason why they resurrected the movie The Exorcist. There's a reason why they're doing that. Remember, they always tell you what they're gonna do before they do it. That's a universal law. It's the law inside this holographic projection we call the pseudo earth. So that being said, there are people being walking around here snatched, basically being jump seated, and are walking out around here pretending that they're your family or they're your friends. And then you see in their eyes, you have a non-recognition of a person because now they've been hijacked. And this is happening everywhere. That's why you're seeing multiple men and women hurting their own children. Look at the news, y'all. Look at how many people are doing odd things. And you don't want to really go into, I'm talking about the mushrooms, because the fungi kingdom has its own level of infiltration right now by being geoengineered by beings that are lower vibrational, that are harvesting these mushrooms, and they are asking for permission. So when they're taking the mushrooms, they're all chemically changing because the beings that are harvesting them are low vibrational. So by that nature, the actual kingdom doesn't allow for anyone who hasn't been approved or qualified to pick them and to ingest them. Remember, we have to have everything's about consent here on this holographic. Everything's consent. That's why a vampire isn't allowed to engage with you unless you give them consent. They aren't allowed to come inside of your body or your home without consent. But problem is that most people aren't realizing that consent could come in many different forms. If you go into a dispensary and you choose with your own free will to engage with the psychedelic, geoengineered, low frequency byproducts of Satanism, then you have already consented to whatever comes along with that. And like I said, if you're going to purchase things from beings that haven't qualified themselves, including fake shamans, I'm really tired and really, really disgusted at people who say, oh, I'm going to a ayahuasca ceremony. And these beings that are having and hosting these ayahuasca ceremonies aren't qualified by any measure of spirituality, of being basically the torch being passed generationally through DNA and bloodline and lineage connected to that plant kingdom, of being raised and touching and born on the soil where those plants are being harvested. They haven't been allowed to pick and harvest them themselves because they weren't given permission. And then by by exchange of dead trees with spelled fiat, you think that qualifies you to engage in a ceremony. Remember, shamans who are qualified, people who are qualified are always called to it. And there isn't any exchange other than being called and qualified by ancestry or by spirit or by one, by the shaman themselves. So I wanted to bring that up, but that is a couple of the ways that people get infiltrated. But let's talk about the main reason why we have a mass infestation of possession and jump seats, meaning people that are jump seats now, is because of Willy Wonka and his League of Doom and the chocolate factory delivering the cucarachi. Once they disseminated that literally lowered the kinetic and magnetic field, which allows for the auric field that protects you. Your auric field should be nice and robust and strong, so it disallows for anything to attach that is lower. And once they disseminate it and roll that out, the mass amount of possession is literally like an infestation. It's almost like seeing big bugs or lice that's gone rogue on the planet. And you do know that I personally know that we're ran by insectoids, right? But that's another conversation for another time. So what's happening now is that this planet is being infiltrated by possessed people who are being hosted. They've been primed and they're being hosted by beings, entities, whether it's incarnates, whether it's, but these aren't higher beings. And people are being hijacked. Their thoughts are hijacked. I'm not even sure that they're even aware that they're possessed. They are being telepathically overtaken by these beings. Driven to do more low field, really sexually engaging in sexually deprived behavior, and I've talked about engaging into the anal cavity. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me put a FYI. Let me just, if you have little people now, this might be a time to put your earbuds on, mommies. One thing is I have babies, and this isn't a conversation that is healthy for them. So I'm just going to bring up a little bit of something that I don't feel is appropriate. So put your earbuds on, mommies, abuelas, daddies, uncles, big brothers, big sisters, okay? The little ones, usher them, give them a crayon and a coloring book. Go put a puzzle down, okay? This, one thing is FleurBrun is a mommy, and I am very mindful of the things that I expose to them so young. This isn't a conversation I think is appropriate for little people. Now, if you have teens, mommy and daddies and abuelas, that's up to you if you feel this conversation is appropriate to them. I wouldn't want to be the type of person that would want to share something that's unhealthy for them. That's one thing. It's the same thing. I wouldn't do to your children what I wouldn't want you to do to mine. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about sex of mass destruction. This is another way that many people are being snatched. Remember, we talked about the Kundalini, and the reason why they like to hijack that area back there in the rear is because it hijacks into the base of the spine, which is your Kundalini, and that literally can seed dark thoughts. They can mind control you. Once someone sees you in that area, they have an attachment to you. They've now put a cord directly into you, like almost pushing a cord into your rear and hijacked you. So now they can control your thoughts. They can literally seed in any sort of lust into you. They can actually read your thoughts. They can leverage your light and take from it. So it's very important that if you are engaging in that type of behavior, remember, a lot of people think that I'm judging the gay population, but I'm not, because many of you don't realize that there are multiple people engaging in anal copulation. This is what I don't understand. Like when people say, why are you, listen, do you know how many women are engaged in that? So please, this isn't a attack on any particular sexuality. This is a conversation about all people engaged in that low field behavior. Remember, once you engage in that way, anytime you place something that's to seed life into something that is to excrete or dump excrement, you are already engaged in a Satanist activity. Why do you think that in Satanism and all these other types of occult, low field occult sexual depravities, that is the number one, whether you're female or male, that they like to engage with? And also for women, it helps to hijack you, and males. So listen, you can go into and talk to people who are really vested in this. If you talk to a lot of ritualistic people into voodoo, hoodoo, obia, Jongage, Santeria, a lot of the Celtics know about this, a lot of the Satanists, witches, warlocks, they all know this. It is the common person who may engage in trinkles of magic or metaphysical activities that isn't aware of the detriments of engaging in this type of activity. And I think it's very important, mommies, if you have teenagers and daddies, this is a conversation, because I looked at all of the young people's social media, and because we have an over sexualized social media that is priming young people to accept this kind of sexual depravity, you are allowing your children by having without having the conversation, and you aren't having it with them, you're letting someone else or the social media priming them for engaging this activity without knowing what can happen overall. That activity is one of the lowest sexuality, and it isn't considered to be sex. That isn't considered, that is an act. Any type of actual sex in itself is between the genitalia of the, the yoni and the wand. That's sex. Anything outside of that, whether oral or anal, is something else. And we have to discuss that because that is lowering the biosphere. It is allowing for attachment of demons and incarnates and succubus and incubus to attach to the auric field. And once the auric field is really very penetrable, then you're going to get jump seat. Like if the children or the people engaged in that behavior become jump seats. And they are allowed to be hosting energies that are usually dense and low. And things that are not all non-corporeal things are low frequency, but when you have beings that haven't qualified for a body and physiologically because they've done so much harm in multiple incarnations, then that will disallow them for qualifying for an actual physical biodome, a body to themselves, okay? Sometimes they'll come into animal form and other things, okay? So I wanted to talk about that because we have a large amount of possession right now. And because of that, we have these beings that are hurting and harming children because they come into body, they're parasitic, they're low vibrational, and they're hurting the families that they're jumping into. I don't know if you ever watched Amityville. Anybody ever watched the back, this has to be a conversation. Do you remember Amityville? Amityville? Do you guys remember? This is for some of you who might, I know they remade it. Do you remember the movie Amityville Horror? Do you remember what happened? And okay. So many of you saw Amityville Horror. If you remember Amityville Horror, the young man was placed in a house, okay? And it started, the first one, well, the one I remember was the one, I think it was in the 80s, right? Was it 80s or 90s? I think it was. And remember the young man, he was in the house, and the house already had an energy that was low. So it had these dense portals that were in the house. Like the basement was where the main one, right? And in the basement, as soon as someone moved in the house, it was dormant until there was energy. It's a parasite. So once there were people with energy in the house, then it was allowed to activate. And it would go to the lowest in the house, the one that was most compromisable, which is the young man. Remember the little girl was seeing things out her window with the red eyes? That was a freaky, remember that movie? That was a freaky movie. Remember that when she looked out the window? What? I was little, I wasn't supposed to watch it. What? You have nightmares. She looked out the window, the thing was in the window outside, right? The Shining as well, right? It always goes, energies like that will always attach to that which matches it. So that's what I'm saying. If you have people in your life, let's say you aren't the one that's low vibrational, or you aren't the one who has compromised energies, it will attach to the one or people who are most compromisable, usually alcoholics are the number one, drug addicts, or people engaged in low genetically modified dispensary items, pop rocks, anyone who makes drugs into candy. And then also I wanted to say, it's very sad that a lot of young people, and I want to talk, and I'm going to sidebar for a minute because it was very sad that one of the people from my island, big up to Martinique, any Martinicans on here? Any Martiniquez? Anyone? Martiniquez, Guadeloupeans, Dominicans, Dominiques? No? Any Francophone people from those islands? Well, I wanted to say that, there's a young lady in a family, a husband and wife who came with their baby, right? I don't know if many of you heard about it. It's very tragic. And I want to share this because it's very important for us to be aware. And I think us as mothers of young people and some of babies, I think this is important for us to share with each other because it's very important for us to, these are not things you should know, you would know. They came from Martinique to Miami to a home. And this is why I say you got to be careful what you come to and what you're exposed to. So they came with the baby. The baby was, I think he was it a she or he? I think 14 months, maybe 18 months. I'm not sure. Little baby, little beautiful little baby. I think it was a little boy. They came to a house from Martinique just for a couple of days in Miami. You know, many of the island people like to come to the fakes or the United slaves. They like to come to this. So they came, and did you guys hear this? And the baby was playing with the pots and pans. Anyone who has a little, does anyone have little people? Anyone has little people, they have pots and pans. Oh, please put a like on the video if you're up for the shenanigans today. It always is great if you put the likes, because then that lets the video stay up. And Willy Wonka hasn't, there were so many witnesses to the video that they have a problem with it. Anyway, so the baby came in, and the mom, when you're cooking, and I do it all the time, the baby's down with the pots and pans, taking out the pots. Now, mind you, it's a B&B, right? The baby's taking out the pots and pan. Next thing you know, she puts the baby down for a nap. She goes in the room. The baby has foam coming out of his mouth. He has now died from exposure to what's that drug? Oh my gosh, fentanyl. The baby dies of fentanyl poisoning. And it was on the pots because the week before, the owner allowed these drug abusers to have parties in their house, and there was fentanyl in the house. So they think that the parents are on fentanyl. They test the parents to see if the parents are the drug dealers or drug addicts. The parents tested 0 for the fentanyl. The baby just touched the fentanyl and died. They just came from Martinique, and Martinique is a very small island. Do you know the heartache that happened to a parent? So I say this all to say, I share this with you as parents, and those who are grandmothers, or those who have big brothers and sisters who like to have parties. That poor baby, did the parents didn't know? How do you know that there's fentanyl on pots? So that to say, everyone, please, please, please be mindful. This whole fentanyl epidemic I didn't even know that it was that big a deal until they were saying that people are just touching it and just basically peeling over. We are in a drug-infested culture. It is being driven by Willy Wonka and his League of Doom, y'all. You have to know it benefits Willy Wonka to have you high, connected, to have you totally unable to protect yourself and your families. So I know that everyone wants to enjoy yourself, but if you have to participate in being disconnected from your body, there is something that you need to work on, maybe some family trauma, maybe things that go on. You have to be mindful, because this is a time where we're supposed to be taking in the energies in a higher way, and a lot of people are being jump seated. And that in itself, we have to be mindful of. So do say, for any of you moms, I share that story with you because I think, like I said, they're from my island, my family's island, and it's such a small island, and that isn't something that they really have deal with there. Thank you, FleurBrun, for the reminder. Need to wash hands, absolutely. Let me know if I'm still here. Yeah, Willy Wonka's very upset. Put a 13 if I'm back on. Put a 13 if you see me. Okay, Willy Wonka doesn't like the message that lets you know. We always verify, when Willy Wonka does that, what does that tell you, everyone? That tells you that we're right on part. We're right over the target. Okay, watch the babies, everybody, please. Thank you. Watch the babies. I want everyone in here because we have to be the progenitors of the light. And I know that everybody wants to enjoy themselves. I know mommies and daddies, you want to have a drink every once in a while. You want to enjoy yourself. But we are living in times where the dark Kabbalists are doing multiple things simultaneously to hijack you. Like, how many times people will attack me on all levels with the of brown people, like looking distorted and like racial things. They're hanging out with people talking about, KKKs and, David Duke. There are a lot of beings here that are low vibrational, that are trying to attach to you so they can infiltrate and try to cause harm to you and your family. You have to really shine that bright light. You really have to shine. Oh, Lord. See, they're trying. It's darkness. What do you say? Darkness. Darkness. They don't want you talking about it. Can't stop, won't stop. You know what I'm saying? Back. I rebuke you. What did the Christians say? Back. I rebuke you. Synagogue Satan. Anyway. So I wanted to talk about that because I just wanted to bring that story up, because just to let everyone know, just to be mindful of the babies, and also protect your animals. I make sure I have Babette and I have Phi. I'm very mindful of the energy even with your animals, because they can also be hosted by demonic energies, and you have to make sure if you clear your house, clear your animal family as well, your furry fanimal. Fanimal. I just made a word up, fanimal. Okay, clean your animals and allow for them to be safe as well. I mean, the amount of infiltration is all over, and just imagine before, we usually only were exposed to a certain amount of demonic attachments or incarnates or interdimensionals that came here. But imagine there's a host of beings here that have been let loose by most likely CERN or other types of frequency, energy weapons or portal openers that have allowed these beings to kind of pour in. And we do have ships and other types of frequencies that are on it. So you have to be mindful. You're especially big up to everyone for the New Year's solstice. There was an amazing portal that opened. It allows for us to have access past the portal. So that means that if we're having more telecommunication with entities that are in the other realms easier, that means that the other beings are having more access to us as well. So if we have more access to them, they have more access to us. And that being said, it allows for us to understand that once you're walking in the world of Harry Potter, and you know that you're walking in the wizarding world with all kinds of moving in, people from online trying to, especially physiologically, if you get a chance to look at them, see them physiologically and they look unhealthy, like their hair looks unhealthy, their skin looks unhealthy, and their behavior is wait, is it buffering again? Oh, let me put a disclaimer out there. Let me explain something. You dastardly beings out here who are trying to cause harm and darkness to people that are trying to uplift themselves and get the heck out of Dodge, out of this, what we call a prism, you need to back the heck down, okay? We rebuke you. We reject you. We send you back to the very energies that you come from. We disallow you from connecting to us and our families. You must know that y'all are going to have your day too. And that's why a lot of you don't have bodies, because you've already wrecked the lives that you came in here doing dastardly deeds, doing dirty sexual depravities. You understand? So we rebuke you all, you nasty ones. And let me say this, I'm going to shine all the light and send everything, mirror everything that you send here and mirror it right back to you. So if you're aren't dark and you aren't sending dark things and you aren't watching my videos obsessing with me because you're lacking the light in yourself, I send back all energy of darkness, or send back energy of anything you're sending this way. Okay? Can't stop, won't stop. Don't hate. Participate. Anyway, y'all, let me stop. Please put a like on the video if you have for the shenanigans. I have, you hear my little, you hear the Malachians in the back hooing? No, that's actually, you hear it in the background? Anyway, So we're talking about possession and things. Listen, y'all, we're gonna have to reject them. Remember, I'm talking about demonic possession, and I'm talking about biodome infiltration and being a jump seat. They won't have me have this conversation. They won't have me sharing as a mother how it's important. See, this is the issue, y'all. And let me talk to my sun stars here. Let me speak because I think I may come across as someone, because I know a lot of people say, well, why is she so hard on the males? Let me say, it's because we need you. To all our sun stars in here, our male energy, or especially our divine males, we require you. We love to have healthy men protect us. Remember, I know a lot of males think that women are acting very masculine, out of sorts. It's because when we're out of sorts and we aren't protected, it causes a female to feel erratic. Her behavior won't be as permissible for feeling healthy or happy. She isn't allowed to be as soft and as vulnerable as she wants to be. We love you. Let me say that we need you. We need you. We need your protection. We want your protection. There isn't, I am a divine feminine. The reason I'm here is because you and my mother, that energy of a masculine, helped to create me. So I want your protection. I'm open, and all the sea stars here who are leaving their energy, they will be more vulnerable and open and receptive if you are protecting us. When we see all these babies disappearing, when we see all, women are being violated, please stand up for us. We will support you. We need to be supported. A lot of the low field males are attacking the divine feminine. And in that, it's causing a lot of women to feel out of sorts. So men, especially our divine masculine, please intercept when you see other brothers being cruel to us divine feminine, being abusive and savage, and talking ill of us. Stand up for us, because we do it for you always. So when I come on here and speak to the vibrations and lower vibrations, believe me, I am in love with the divine masculine. You are everything to us. So if you remember, men are providers and protectors. When you protect us, that's when we show up the most. We're okay to create the most divine nutrition for you. We're okay to give you the most divine offspring. We're okay to stand in love and light with you, but we need your protection. So I just want to put that out here, because I think a lot of times there's this, we speak and we're really harsh about what's happening, but I want to tell you we love you. Okay? And I'm speaking on behalf of all the sea stars. We're receptive to you, but we need you to stand up for us, okay? Because right now, Willy Wonka and his League of Doom are out of control. These bastards, and they're also destroying your masculinity. Sun stars, stand up in your masculineness. They're destroying it. They're making you seem like you're feminine. They're making you seem like you're weak. They're showing you in skirts on television. They're making it seem like you don't even exist. So you beautiful, amazing, divine masculine, strong, agile, virile. We need you to stand strong in your sovereignty and be unapologetic about being masculine. You won't ever hear me question a man that stands in his divinity, especially when he's an alpha. I give reverence to a healthy alpha. And if you know that this time they're attacking our alphas, stand against those dark males that are vilifying you, humiliating you on public arenas, feminizing you, disallowing you for standing in your strength and your plurality, your strong maleness, okay? So I'm just saying, don't think that we're hating on you, because remember, I'm okay to be a super feminine female around a healthy, virile, masculine, divine masculine, okay? All right, anyway, so please put a like on your video if you're up for the shenanigans today. Love you, sun stars. Anyway, so when we talk about possession, we talked about a couple of things that really impede on your energetic field. Now, as much as I'll speak about the infiltration or one becoming a jump seat, you know that it is my duty, as much as I give you the issue or the problem, I always have to give you a solution, because that's the divine balance, right? So in that itself, I just was talking about, as we did our amazing, big up to the zombies. We did our amazing clearing of the waters on Sunday. And remember, we talked about clearing the waters inside. And I had an amazing, with the zombies, we did an amazing clearing. And I'll talk to the other zombies on Sunday. So if you ever want to join us, we're always on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Join us, zombies. We're up all night talking about all different types of escape methods out of this craziness. But we did the clearing of the waters, and it allowed my grandmother. Many of you saw my grandmère. Grand-mère, that's French for grandmother. Many of you saw her on YouTube. She had passed. She was 103. If you had the luxury of seeing my grandmother, voice of wisdom, spoke the most languages in our country. To date, she was the oldest person who worked at the Yonkers Library. Big up to the Yonkers Library in New York. My grandmother worked there until she was 100. Didn't even know she was turning 100, but she actually called me in the etheric realm after we cleared the waters last night. And it was because I didn't realize I cleared the waters. And when I cleared the waters, my spine began to move around, because she let me know that the spine is the spine is is a harmonic frequency. It's our, oh gosh, she said it was hold on. She said it was, my grandmother said it was the frequency. She said it was a harmonic frequency. Mon Dieu. I wrote it down, so it's on here. Hold on, I'm trying to think exactly how she said it. The the music boards. It's an antenna. It is an antenna. Yes, it's an antenna, but those different types of toning frequency instruments that we use. Oh gosh, she said it. No, I want to say it how she said it, like a conductor. You guys are getting there, but the frequency harmonizers that we use, like they're different frequencies. Tuning fork. Oh, Melissa. Oh, Zubi. Yes, the Zubi got it. A tuning fork. So she said the spine is our tuning fork. So when we cleared our waters, she said that it caused, because a lot of us were having spinal issues after, thank you, my loves, tuning fork. After we did a clearing of our waters, we had spinal issues, and I already spoke to Marsha D on this. And what happened is that after we cleared the waters within and we cleared the waters on the entire planet, it realigned the spine so we could pick up the frequency. So she said my spine was a tuning fork. So once we cleared the waters, the spine had to realign to match the frequencies to pick up the higher frequencies. So for the days after the new year, when we did the harmonic clearing of the waters, we re-solidified our bonds to the trees and our alliance with the trees. The spines of everybody, especially anybody who cleared the water, all of a sudden the spines, everybody was having spinal issues for like 2 and 3 days. And it was because our spines are tuning forks. So once we cleared our waters, literally our spines were aligning to pick up the higher frequencies. Oh, so my grandmother called. My grandmère called me, and I was so enamored. She was sharing so many things. I'll share with the zombies on Sunday. But one thing is, when she was talking, she called and it was like a little bit of ashiness on the phone. And then it cleared up and she was clear as day. And she was talking to me, sharing so many things. And I had to say for a moment, I said, Grandma, hold on. And I had to say, I love you. I love you so much. And I miss you. And then after that, she says, I love you too, Dadel, because that's my nickname, Dadel. I love you too, Dadel. And then the phone just went blank. So it's very beautiful. If you want to join us on Zoom, you can always go to Patreon, join us. We're there. Listen, Zombies, we're there practically every day. Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, we're on all night. But but it's an amazing experience. You can join us anytime. But I just wanted to share that, since we cleared the waters, and that's why I wanted to extend that to everyone here, is that it's very pertinent that we speak well of ourselves. We speak well of others, because it reflects back to you. by clearing the waterways in you, clearing your frequency, we're mostly water, especially women, we're mostly water. And by you choosing kind words, refraining from cursing. Cursing is something you do as a visceral, it's a visceral reaction to cursing someone, putting a spell on them, okay? But when we curse consistently and we're constantly, especially to our babies and around our children, and I had to, I spoke to my girlfriend. I love my girlfriends because all my girlfriends who grew up with me all their lives. But, we were talking and I said, my girlfriend her son is, how old is Christopher? Maybe 21. Christopher's 21. That's my baby boy. That's one of my best friend's son. He's like a sweetheart. He looks like he could be mine because me and her look like sisters. But she was saying something in front of him, and I said to her, as a girlfriend and as a friend, I had to check her and say, listen, it doesn't matter what age our children are. When you speak ill to them, you mess up their waters. And because we're closer to them, we're the parent of those children, we can infest it. We can literally mess with the biogeometry of the waters inside of them. And we talked about how when you speak love into water, it becomes harmonic biogeometrically. And when you speak ill to water, it basically looks like ragged, jagged edges, and it isn't very balanced. So I spoke to her. She said something in front of Christopher. I said, She said I could share this, so it isn't something that she didn't want me to share. And I said, no. I said, as your friend, and that little boy is like my boy, even though he's a big boy now, he's 21. I said, we aren't, as mothers, we're to be mindful of how we speak to our offspring or our children, because you think that you're saying these things. Like I said before, you'll see mothers say booger, or this butthead, or I don't know, what do you call this idiot. They'll say things like that, right? Those are negative frequencies, and you're dirtying your child's water, and you're going to take karmic debt by biochemically changing their waterways. So we have to be mindful, just like we would be mindful of what we engage with speech or spells. We must be mindful of the way that we speak to our offspring, or to the dogs, or to the cats, or to the water, or to the trees, by putting dark frequencies and spitting out spells that spell or put dark energy or lower frequency energy. You are messing up the waters. So that being said, in order to disallow for things to attach to you, you would have to be higher vibrationally, and you would have to be a higher octave of frequency. Okay? So it disallows for something unharmonic or lower or more dense to engage with you. Okay, so even when we get frustrated, and I have to be we're all people. We have frustrations. A lot of people, even your mate, your partners can be like, they can say things. You have to put a guard up if they are speaking to your waters, because they aren't just speaking to you, they're speaking things to your auric field. If they're saying things that are harmful and dense and dark, you have to put the shield up, and you have to disengage with them. Because if they're doing that too frequently, they are basically like chipping away at your auric field. It's like tapping away and flaking away at your auric field, and then making you more permissible for attachment or attacks energetically. Okay? So we have to really place ourselves in a position of now, you don't have to be perfect. It isn't to say that you're not going to ever have a conversation that is always high vibration. Sometimes you just want to shoot the breeze with your friends and just talk. But people, and also the people around you, like I said, there was a dark being trying to attach to me, projecting their prejudices on me, saying that I was saying things that I wasn't, because that's the way they feel. And then when you see the type of beings that were attached to this person, they were saying they were part of the KKK. Their friend was making fun about being down with David Duke. They were saying, and it's amazing, because then you see what that person really is. Someone who makes a face of someone and makes someone who looks brown very negative, and tells you that, a lot of people project. So there was a person who said, I was prejudiced, but meanwhile they were making characters of making me look like a Negroid, like really dark and ugly, and how people project brown people to look at. So you see that people will project their prejudices on you and call you prejudiced. Meanwhile, they're hosting a lot of prejudices and biases within their own field. So I reject that person and I rebuke them, and I make sure I put up alignment of light and shine that light so that person has to experience all of the things that they send to others upon themselves. You know, that is another sign. A lot of people do that. They'll project their own prejudices on you. They'll project their own insecurities on you. And you have to know the difference between what you feel and what another is projecting on you. Okay? You have to know yourself intrinsically. And you have the right to refract that imagery or whatever someone's projecting right back at them. It isn't right to hurt anyone or harm anyone. It is against the divine law, but it is very, very, very in alignment for you to bounce back light on someone so that they see the image of what they're trying to project on you. Okay, so we have to watch, wait. Yeah, you have to. So that's another thing. So watching who's around you, making sure that us as parents or as grandmothers, or if you're a big sister, and I also ask for big sisters, you know, we have a lot of hypersexuality out here that is very dense and devoid of love. Okay. I just say, no one's perfect, but if you would like, if you're protective of your family or yourself, engage with any energy, whether it's a mate partnership, a friendship, family. Engage with them the way that you would want them to engage with you. Show yourself up the way that you would want someone to show up in your world. The young women, it's so beautiful. Let me say this to my young sea stars, because I think you are so divine. And I think if I represent an energy of mommy energy to you or auntie, I want to say to you, I think all of you are really lovely. I think you're beautiful. I think you are naturally beautiful. I think how you show up is divinely perfect. I know that the world may be sending you messages that are trying to lower the way you feel and trying to send out bouts of false imagery to project and to make you feel insecure. But let me stand, because I see a lot of you. I see your profile pictures. I see who you are. You are beautiful. You are exactly as divine as you're supposed to be. We weren't supposed to look alike. We weren't supposed to be carbon copies of each other. We weren't supposed to do makeup tutorials to look just like someone else. The love and the bond between your parents made you as beautiful and naturally unique as you are. So remember, I think for us, FleurBrun is not perfect. I'm not the prettiest girl, I'm not perfect bodily wise. I'm not, this image of perfection that Willy Wonka puts out there, but I love myself. And I had to gain that love for myself more so when I got a little more seasoned, and also when I had my children. I had to really love who I was and how I showed up, so that when I walked in the world and my daughters or my children follow me, they see the respect I have for myself. They see that mommy is okay to be a little thicker or to have messy hair. And it's not messy, it's just how I show up naturally. So I want to say you're beautiful. And if someone hasn't said that to you, I love your curly, coily hair. I love your long, frizzy hair. I love your beautiful brown cosmic skin. I love your gorgeous teeth. I love the gaps in your teeth. I love the little chin. I love the freckles on your faces. I love the hair that you have naturally. I love your beautiful figures in all different ways. So if someone hasn't said that to you, let me be the first to say you are perfect as you are. And there won't be anyone who ever complains when you're just as you are. Okay? A lot of males, I think a lot of females, I don't really think that we make ourselves up for males. I think we do it for each other, to be honest, because I think women complement each other very much so. But I think, if that's something that you're feeling, that you feel less, I'm telling you that is Willy Wonka's doing. That isn't true. Okay, because your mother and father got together because they found each other attractive. So if they found each other attractive, what happens? They gave birth to you. And when people find each other attractive, it's because, and then they birth the attraction they had for each other, meshed, bound, mixed together. Okay, so I just want to say that I think a lot of times we all, and it's not just you, struggles have come. I'm a little more seasoned now. I've learned to be less critical, okay with myself. Even, remember, I've been on YouTube since 2011, where people have called me names. Oh gosh, no. Many of you from early days, they call me monkey. They call me an animal. um, they've called me fat. They've called me, what else? A savage, a slut. I've been called everything. They've called me everything. And just recently, a person called me. She made a character of me, making me look like a dirty brown person, and then told me I'm prejudiced. But she made a whole, on her page, she made a whole distorted face of me to make me look like, what she perceives brown people to look like. You know what I mean? So, you know, if that was something that bothered me, I would have a hard time being on YouTube as I am. But I'm okay. You know what I mean? I don't have to be perfect to be on here. So I just want to put out there. So I want everyone to know that, I speak to the young women because I think a lot of times and also, women of a certain age, I think we have these false images of looks, and look at all these women who go and get BBLs and all this plastic surgery, and they still aren't happy. Okay, just be healthy and love you. There isn't anybody who looks like you. There isn't anyone who smells like you. There isn't anyone who walks like you. There isn't anyone who specifically comes from where you come from. So it makes you beautiful. Whether you're light, brown, green, blue, in between, you're amazing. I just want to let you know that, okay? So so those are parts of the ways that we keep from having attachments, is really just being okay with ourselves. As long as we're healthy, as long as we're trying to always level ourselves up alchemically. Now, what do I mean by that? Is by being harmonic in even the way we engage with food. If we're eating certain foods that animals were harmed really heinously, if we have guilt in the things we place in our bodies, that can lower your immune system, making you more permeable for other energies to kind of attach to you. So, be okay with, even if, this doesn't have to do with money, whether you're people have an idea that the wealthy eat the best, or people who have left. No, it is literally whatever you put energy into. So if you're eating your meal, remember our parents used to pray over their food. Do you remember, everybody? I know everybody came from that, right? Did you remember that? Do you remember, like, your grandmother, your mother, or you used to pray over your, pray over your food? Why did that stop? Right? Didn't you feel like I felt better eating when I was younger, like at the table with my grandmother and my parents, when they prayed over the food? So why don't we start? Let's initiate ourselves into practices that we had from our ancestors, our parents and our grandparents. Some things that they did were really quite amazing and protective, and they didn't have the verbalization of it, but it was wonderful. So why don't we start to, I don't want to use the word pray, why don't we start to put positive energy on anything that you eat? So if you're going to eat that food and you judge it, right? So take away the judgment and you say, okay, I'm going to eat here. Say, I'm so grateful, and I'm so, thank you so much for for blessing my body. And I'm so grateful. You are so amazing. And I'm so grateful to be able to, or thank you, oneness or whatever, and bliss that which you placed in your body. Okay. And that would really be really amazing to do. So gratitude is the number one way that we kind of clear things. So just like I say, to clear yourself, clear anything that comes within yourself, that touches you. And also with partnerships, if you have a partner or mate, big up to all those who have your amazing mates, right? Whoever it is, if it's a mate that's a male, female, doesn't matter. You say, I'm so grateful of how amazing you are. I'm so grateful to have energetically before you engage with them. So you're kind of clearing them a little bit before they engage with you. So that helps to bring in higher frequencies as well. And we have to be, I always say that sounds so corny, right? Be the change we see in the world. But when you have multiple types of portals open, those energies aren't able to attach to something that is, they aren't a match to. So when you elevate yourself and your frequency and you bring yourself to a higher leverage point harmonically, how could a dark being attach to you? It would be so difficult for it to even, it would be extinguished in your light. So it's very important for you to clear yourself. And also, with all of these type of energies around, dispel things, say, I listen, I learned, y'all know why I say rebuke all the time, because I learned from this Christian woman. I told you. I use modalities from every background. I don't care if you're Jewish, Islamic, Catholic, Christian. She said to this being, she was like, this man was coming, she was like, I rebuke you. That's why some of you know the story. I rebuke you. Yo, this man nearly fell over. He practically ran away. I thought it was magical. So I used her modality, and I tell you it works well. I rebuke all negative energy. I rebuke those, and I show the light back on whatever you show. So if you bring in love and light, I accept it. If you bring anything other than I accept for myself, I send it right back. That's how you kind of dispel things. Yeah. She said, I rebuke that dude. He nearly fell over. I don't know. He looked like the devil. That was so funny. Woo! So anyway, so that being said, let's start to understand that there are energies on here. And also for you to recognize, let's talk about this real quick before I go, because I have to go and get everyone ready. I have a family. I come to you in my space. Sometimes I have more time because, little one's taking naps. I could have a little space. The other ones are, preoccupied. So I have a little time for you. But let's talk about recognition of people who are possessed, okay? So when you see a possessed person, their eyes look like a dimension in itself. So when you look into the eyes, it's like a void, okay? That's a sign of someone who is harboring an entity within their biodome, okay? Disengage and walk away, okay? Also, the smell of sulfur. When beings are lower dimensionally, they usually have a scent that is really caustic. Okay, so if they smell like sulfuric, or if they have a smell that's it's very it has a very bitter smell to it. And I'm not talking about people who are, well, yeah, because sicknesses do come from having low vibration and things kind of, because remember, low thought, but our thought forms also manifest into entities. So when people perpetually have dark, low feelings, dark, low thoughts, they create and manifest these entities. Okay, so thought forms can create entities in themselves. So if someone has a really foul odor, smell wise and genitalia wise, you already know how we say that is a sign that they are hosting something inside of them, because those things usually have a scent to them. Also, beings that are just coming into body that haven't been here before, and you usually see this on people who drink, who black out. You ever notice that their bodies start to contort? Now watch The Exorcist and all these possession movies. You ever see them like crick their neck and their back? Everything's like looking crazy and their bodies are contorted, like their heads go crooked, turn around. That is very true, because beings who haven't been in a body for a long time or haven't ever had a body, they haven't any way to know how to move. It's like being in a device where you don't have instructions and you don't know how it works. Okay, so usually what happens when beings jump into bodies, they have a distorted way of walking. Sometimes they walk crooked, they can't walk, their heads turn to the wrong side, their eyes crisscross. Those are signs of possession as well. That you have to be careful from walk out, because that's a type of being that's demonic. It has to do with it's something that is, it most likely hasn't been in physical form, and that comes from a really dense a very dense level or dimension. How it got here, probably jumped through a portal, came through, somebody did some darkness, engaging in low frequency, like hurting people, engage in low frequency sexuality. Those basically open up kind of portals or activate portals that are dormant, okay? When portals are dormant, they get activated by low frequencies around it. And usually portals that are dense like that will wait for an energy to come around, and as soon as, like, watch Hellraiser. Do you watch Hellraiser? Hellraiser is one of those things. You remember when Pinface and all those guys came through the portal? They were messing with the cube, and then it opened up the dimension into what, you know, Hellraiser, they came in, right? So just be careful with that. If you see someone who's walking distorted, most likely they have a low frequency being in them. Now you got hoppers. Now hoppers are beings, and we saw this on one of the videos a while ago where we saw hoppers where they literally jump from person to person to person. A hopper can jump into different bodies. Denzel Washington had a movie with it. I forgot what it was called, but this entity was jumping in the movie Smile. The movie Smile, how it infected somebody is it allowed someone to watch them commit suicide, and that's how it infected the next person, right? Fallen, thank you, Fallen. Yeah, so you got to be careful with hoppers too, because hoppers will bounce from, you'll see the same entity and multitude of people. And it's because those people are already dense. Like you'll see them, like sometimes you'll see them in homeless people. You'll see one that has the energy and the being, same being. Watch the movie Smile. I don't want you to watch the movie Smile. Don't say it. It's very low vibrational. That movie I wish I never saw. That was one of the movies that kind of detailed that being jumping into, those are hoppers, okay? You have to mind that. So if you're hanging out at bars, places where people are always getting high, always hooking up, you know, love is a dispeller too, y'all. If you're being in places where it's loveless, that is a host for low vibrational energies. When I say loveless, like you go around places and there isn't love. If you want to dispel low frequencies, go around where there's love, or be engaged in love and act in love. That is literally your remedy for anything. When you're truly in love, you ever see people who are in love, like everything could be falling apart around them, and literally they're fine. Like everything could be falling apart, but they're fine. You ever see a mother who's in love with her baby? Everything is crazy, but she is just enamored and it doesn't matter what's going on around her. Place love in anything and it basically will be the remedy for all darkness, okay? It's an illuminator. Anything that shines light literally will dispel anything that is dark, okay? Dark things aren't happy with light. To be illuminated in light, it makes them scatter like roaches, okay? So I hope this was helpful. You know, please put a like on the video if you're over. It's getting dark. It gets dark outside. It's kind of getting dark now. You see it? And my light's on. But anyone wants to join us, like I said, tomorrow. And I will be doing remote viewings. I've become really quite I think quite efficient at remote viewing on my own. So I'll be videotaping my remote viewing starting in April, and I will be starting off with Kanye West. So if you'd like to take a look, you know, you always come to my Patreon. And like I said, we're always, the Zombies we're on, big up to the Zombies, we're always on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, but we end up going into Monday. So we're practically on every day other than Saturdays. So I hope this was helpful. I will make another video regarding the insectoids that are basically ruling over this dimension, and have a conversation. But I hope everybody's doing well. I want to wish everyone a happy, blissful New Year's. Spring solstice brings in our New Year's. I wish you much health, happiness. If you want to join with the Zombies, definitely look at my description. You'll see the link. Come and join us. We have a ball. Like I said, we're on set. We'll be on tomorrow talking more about the madness in the Matrix. All right. So I wish everybody well. Have a great evening, day, rising, wherever you are. And I wish you well. Peace. Peace.